assume we're
a year and a half to 2 years. If, in fact, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty, he would have been
in the World Cup finals.
Well, he was talking, but it wasn't clear.
Well, his doctors have said that he's been under sedation since.
And he may be well taken.
I really, it'll be interesting to see who's really in that.
All right, America is waiting.
They come in. There is another technique to...
Continuing developments. Now let's go back to Marv Albert in the playoff game. Marv.
Thank you, Tom. 5:57.
Try to force O.J. Simpson off the road or any other action that might jeopardize the situation.
This is Susan Warnick again in News Center 5. Of course, as you've heard, it's O.J. Simpson sitting in the passenger seat of the white vehicle, reportedly with a gun to his temple. And there's been no word yet on exactly who's driving the car. Brian Rooney is following the story for ABC. We join them now.
The police seem to be certain that they have something going here.
Yeah. And as we watch this, clearly they are not going very fast. If police wanted to speed up and somehow end this thing, they could do that. They have chosen not to. They have cleared the freeway, a normally very busy freeway in Southern California, and they continue just to follow at about the same distance they have been following for some time now, behind that white car, which is you can barely see now in the shot, but it's at the head of that empty freeway on the far side of the screen.
This is not atypical of how they handle these things. In California, we do get these freeway chases. The formation that the police cars are in is something that we've seen before. They try to block out other vehicles, keep the thing as low speed as possible, and as little danger to other people.
And that is exactly what they're doing. Brian, thank you. Will can be continued.
League football.
Innocence in the murders of his ex-wife and the young man, Ron Goldman, and proclaimed his innocence in any matter of beating his ex-wife, and then said that he couldn't take the publicity, he couldn't take the fact that his life probably had been ruined. He said some things that sounded, that had the sound of a suicide note, but that could also be written by a man who was just going to try to leave and get away.
That car now approaching the Brookhurst exit and staying in the right lane there. He just passed the exit, so they are staying on the freeway. We will see just how much farther they continue this odyssey along southbound Interstate 5.
O.J. Simpson, of course, was due to be arrested at 11 o'clock this morning. His attorney had said that he would drive down to Parker Center with O.J. Simpson this morning. He was going to bring a psychiatrist along and another doctor. They were going to get him down to Parker Center so that he could turn himself in. And O.J. Simpson somehow slipped out of the house in the San Fernando Valley where he was with his doctors and lawyers this morning. He had about a 15-minute window where no one but Al Cowlings was with him, and he got away.
This after writing a lengthy note, actually 3 letters, the one we were privileged to read, are to hear read to us.
A lot of them are right behind it. Helicopters are above. This is the KCAL helicopter. That's our CNN affiliate. This is in Orange County, heading north around Disneyland. There you see all the police cars following them. And apparently any traffic that was on I-5, and that would be very crowded right now, has pulled over to the right or gotten off that freeway.
But we have seen one vehicle in the past that actually ended the pursuit at Parker Center, so it'd be quite ironic if that was to happen with this one traveling all over 5, get to Los Angeles, and then just go right and give up at Parker Center. So we'll just have to see what happens.
They could be heading, as the gentleman said, to L.A. Police Headquarters. That is a possibility. And that report was from a police car about that gun. We did not verify that, except we did apparently hear a police car say it. Okay. Again, that is apparently Al Cowlings' car, and apparently O.J. Simpson is in the passenger seat. It is heading north toward Los Angeles, through Orange County, on what normally is a very, very heavily traveled I-5. It is now 7 o'clock in Los Angeles. This would be near bumper to bumper normally. Apparently, with people listening to radios, they're all getting off that highway or cleared over to the right. You can see cars slowing down above it. There are no lights on these freeways, so they're all
91.
Paying attention to their radios, and he's just crossed under 91. We had no idea what that was. We'll continue to follow this, and the World News will say special. Now we're back onto it.
I will.
As they continue to, apparently he has gone on to I-91. Have they reported that, or is he still on 5? Now, he must be on I-91 because there's a lot of traffic there now. Police cars are in the left lane. He's in the lane right next to the left lane, and you see other traffic in the 2 right-hand lanes, and they're slowing down and moving over. Police reports, again, we're telling you this is a police report from one of the police cars that O.J. is in the passenger seat with a gun. The driver is apparently, although we don't know, Al Cowling, former teammate, one of his oldest friends.
I wonder if any of that's confirmed.
All of this is, again, reports we're getting from Los Angeles. You're watching CNN and our coverage of this ongoing, incredible story, of which we have no reference point because there has never been a story like this.
Yeah, Pat, here we go.
Suzanne,
we'll pull out,
can you hear me?
and right now we are on the 91 freeway now. They have not blocked off this freeway.
Okay,
We'll just give you a quick little
if you're
shot
just
here.
joining us,
Give you the proximity again.
this is Larry King Live. We're staying over with you, and we're getting KCAL's report. That's our affiliate in Los Angeles. This is
except for the ones that are following the white Bronco.
those are those cars following what is presumed to be the car containing O.J. Simpson, now a fugitive from justice. The car is traveling at normal speed. The police reports that O.J. Simpson is in the passenger seat and apparently has a gun. And Al Cowling is the driver, apparently. And let's listen to more of KCAL. Sound you hear
David,
is
of
the
course,
sound
from
of
our point of view.
Traffic, but OJ's driver is driving about 30 to 40 miles an hour, slower than the normal freeway flow, so you're seeing a bigger gap in front of him. However, there are 18 police units behind, following behind at a distance of about, I'd say, 50 yards, and they're keeping their distance, and as you can see, they're passing some vehicles. Their lights and sirens are on, alerting people that they need the freeway cleared. In front of O.J. Simpson, looks like a news unit, about 150 yards ahead. We're now heading on the 91 freeway, and we're going to be crossing fairly soon into Los Angeles County. We have the Orange County Sheriff's Department here, as well as the California Highway Patrol, and units from the LA County Sheriff's Department, as well as a helicopter, are readying themselves once the pursuit, if you will, ends up in the Los Angeles County area. Right now, you can see the vehicle, number 2 lane, occasionally moving to the number 3 lane, 30 to 40 miles an hour. The driver has been very courteous. It's really the best way to describe it. I haven't seen the kind of crazy or reckless driving that you've seen in other pursuits.
Slow trying to keep it as safe as possible.
The city of Los Angeles has been racked these past couple of years, and this is just part of this continuing saga. As all
David,
the
at
cars
the
are pulling
altitude
off
that we're
that
at, we're at
freeway.
1,200 feet right now, as per request by the law enforcement. It's very difficult for us to tell. I don't know how much tighter Jeff can get with the lens that we have here, and he says that's as tight as we can go right now. So from our vantage point, we cannot tell exactly how many are in the vehicle at all.
Again, all this is presumption now. It's apparent that the police believe it.
Well,
and that is Cowling's car, and that Simpson is in the driver's seat. We've received a report of a gun in the car. The car is heading north, which would be toward Los Angeles. We picked it up in Orange County. The vehicle is registered to Al Cowling, a former teammate, close friend of O.J. Simpson's, who has been a fugitive from justice now almost 12 hours. The car is not exceeding the speed limit, and the police are not forcing it and are not pulling it over. You see them all trailing it. That's the California Highway Patrol are trailing it, but not pulling it over.
Show the people on the bridges, Jeff.
Obviously, everyone else is pulled off the lane as you look far ahead. No cars are there. Now it's going to go under another freeway, and you see police cars atop that freeway. Now, the police do have speakers in those vehicles. They can speak, as if you've ever been pulled over sometimes, you'll hear the police officer say, come out of your car. If you were speeding or something, they can't speak to that car. Reuters is reporting that the police tracked O.J. Simpson through his cellular phone. Apparently, he was on the cellular phone, and they tracked him through there, and that's how they picked up this car. Now, all traffic is being cleared off this freeway either through their own venue or through instructions coming from somewhere. These people, obviously, there's no one paying any attention to anything else but this story, so they're all listening to their radio.
Look at all the cars on this next bridge, man.
That's a helicopter reporting, talking to KCAL, saying, look at all those cars on that bridge looking down. This is living drama. There's nothing else you can say, but we're going to stay with it. Of course. Conceivably, as a cellular phone, he could be on that phone right now, talking to his attorney, talking to somebody. We've already heard the letter that he read to the public, private letters written to his mother and his children. No report on anything other than police keeping a clear distance behind. There's no rule book on this because...
Right here, Pat.
This hasn't happened.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, and the traffic up above is still... in fact, I'm trying to look down through my lower window. It appears that CHP has stopped traffic on the on-ramps coming onto the 91 westbound, just to let the officers proceed at a nice pace coming through here. Again, they don't want anything to happen to this suspect vehicle. They want to try to keep it as safe as possible. But there's definitely a crowd growing on every overpass that we see, vehicles and people that want to get a glimpse and see if this is in fact O.J. coming down the freeway.
Apparently, the reports we get, they're about 40 minutes from downtown Los Angeles.
You know, this thing has been going on now since Monday, and especially with the craziness of today's events, everybody wants to know what's going on. I'm sure many can't believe that this has happened, especially that he has run from the scene and didn't come to be arraigned, and everybody's just so confused about what's going on. So now maybe this will all come to light once they do get the suspect vehicle stopped and be able to figure out exactly what's going on and why these events have occurred in the order that they have all day long.
Their fear would be, of course, if they pull up close, and obviously Mr. Simpson has been under sedation. He is a fugitive. They're reporting seeing a gun. If they pull too, there's another vehicle just pulling off to the side, and more cars as the car continues to pass regular cars on the freeway. The fear is that if you pull up too close and you have someone who is in this kind of raw emotional condition, he could shoot himself. There's someone else driving the car. There could be someone else in the back of the car. We don't know that. The helicopter can't get closer than it is now. It's going to pass through another overpass. You see cars in the other lane heading south. Look at all those cars stopped on freeways above it, overpasses.
And
everyone knows the story. All these people are tuned to radios.
Pat, you know, whether they're hearing it on the radio, catching it on the TV, and then just making a quick exit out of their houses to get to these locations just to see if they can get a glimpse.
The California Highway Patrol has now confirmed to CNN that it is definitely Al Cowling's vehicle. And they are almost certain that O.J. is in the passenger seat.
Pat, we're just now crossing the 605.
California Highway Patrol is also telling CNN,
so we're starting to get up into the Long Beach area, or actually northeast Long Beach.
And again, O.J. appears to be holding a gun to his head.
Well, David, the 405 is not too much farther down the 91.
Apparently in his cellular phone that he wants to go to his mother's house.
Will be the Long Beach or the
that
710 freeway.
He wants to go to his mother's house.
Then after that would be the 110 freeway.
We're getting.
And then after that, you'd hit the 405. So, I mean, at this point, we really have no idea which or where the final destination may be for purported O.J. Simpson inside this white Bronco.
You are listening to KCL's coverage. There's an anchor in the studio and a man in the helicopter, a reporter. That has been identified as Al Cowling's car, O.J. Simpson in the passenger seat, apparently with a gun, with a report coming. Apparently they're picking this up through some sort of phone that he wants to go to his mother's house. Of course, we're here in Washington, so we don't know where his mother's house is. The California Highway Patrol is telling CNN that O.J. Simpson, through his cellular phone, is reportedly wanting to go to his mother's house, and if that's true, the police are letting him, because they are not pulling up alongside this car. As you see, all the California Highway Patrol cars trailing it. The cars on the other side heading south are stopping to look over. All of these people listening to their radios, other cars driving off the highway, and as they pass overpasses, people are stopped to look down.
I've got, right now, it's passing one vehicle on the right. There's some cars on the freeway. Maybe everybody doesn't know what's going on yet at this point. Absolutely. But up ahead, and I'm just going to kind of let Jeff take the camera and pan around, then we'll come back to the suspect vehicle. But now you can get an idea. Right. I've just kind of had to put the helicopter in a crab here. Okay. Now you can kind of see of what's going on. Now you've got traffic in the southbound or the eastbound lanes is fairly heavy, but in the westbound lanes, which are the direction that this vehicle is moving, are all it's fairly light. People have pulled off to the side, so. At this point, you know, again, it is a pursuit, and that's, I'm sure, the way that the CHP is dealing with this situation. The main thing, again, is we'll say, and I'm sure I'll say it a couple more times before we're finished here, is that they want to try to keep it as peaceful and safe as possible, and without any intimidation, or as little as intimidation as possible with the vehicle. Very close to that, Pat. You know, just traveling along the roads, I'm not exactly sure which ones we're coming up. It appears right now we're coming up on Lakewood Boulevard at the 91.
They're on I-91 now, by the way. That's heading west, and then they'll cut into 101 and the 405 freeway. Artesia. The 405 is the one, the Artesia freeway, and then the 405 is the one that goes by LAX. That would head them toward the city as well. All those cars are stopping to get a view.
That's
they know
correct,
what's going on by listening to their radios.
We're just going to have to wait and see at this point and see exactly
what is going to go on and take place. As KCAL is reporting, there's nothing you can really do here but keep this helicopter right on top of the scene.
Rather unusual way to end this situation.
Stay with it. They have identified this is Al Cowling's car, O.J. Simpson in the passenger seat. We have not received an affirmative that Cowlings is driving it, although that's a fairly good assumption. He's not at his house, and he is one of O.J.'s oldest friends and a former teammate. As the traffic proceeds, what you see there is normal traffic, that pickup truck and the car, but very little traffic as all these cars attuned to their radios are pulling off. The cars on the top of the screen heading east on that freeway are just slowing down to look and get a glimpse of one of the icons of American sports history, O.J. Simpson, on this tragic June day. In a city besieged with stories, when you think what can top one with another occurs. Again,
45 minutes at the most.
I don't know.
I'm trying to keep it as slow as possible and as low as possible in torque.
The car, of course, is not going very fast.
Please keep it on.
The police are just trailing it. There are a bunch of police cars
Kyle,
trailing it.
I might have about 45 minutes at the absolute most left, so we're just going to keep going as long as it can.
I know. I know. This is Larry King as we stay atop this scene. Jim Hill, famed sportscaster in Los Angeles, an old friend, a former athlete, old friend of O.J. Simpson, is going on radio in Los Angeles.
Still going westbound 91, just approaching the 710 freeway.
To turn himself in.
According to the lanes,
Jim Hill is going on radio in Los Angeles, appealing to O.J. Simpson to please turn himself in. He is on 91 West.
At the 91 westbound, very slow, David. Right now, I'm indicating 55 miles an hour airspeed. It could be a little bit slower down on the ground.
There's the traffic. That traffic is going east on 91. 91, if it stays, goes right out toward the water. And those are all those vehicles, the police vehicles, following this car. We have Jim Hill, an old friend of O.J.'s, former athlete and sportscaster, on the radio, hoping that O.J. is listening to the radio and begging him to turn himself in. Okay. O.J.'s mother lives in San Francisco, where he grew up. There is a belief, though, that she flew to L.A. today.
We are acting.
Let's listen to this officer.
Assistance capacity at this time.
What about the report that officers, whether they be Orange County Sheriff's deputies involved or your officers from the CHP, have seen O.J. Simpson with a gun to his head in that vehicle?
Yes, I don't have any specific reports on that, the information that I have. So I can't comment on that.
But if there is perhaps a weapon or fear that there might be a weapon inside, safety has to come into play here when you're considering trying to stop a vehicle, correct?
Yes, we have, the CHP has policies for high risk and or felony stops, and the officers, if they are involved in that, will act according to policy, and they're well trained, and we go over these scenarios all the time in training. So the officers are well aware of the procedure to use in felony stops or high-risk situations.
At what speed are they going now, Officer Ferrier? Any idea?
I don't have that information right now.
It's
Apparently, it's not a high-speed pursuit. The location is, it looks like it's westbound SR 91 at perhaps Atlantic, I believe.
Okay, we're just told now, officer, that it's west of the 605, westbound on the 91 freeway.
I see. Okay.
This is really a case, as it has been in so many of these pursuits on Southern California freeways, perhaps waiting for the driver to run out of gas, or for, in this case, if what we've heard about O.J. Simpson with the gun, perhaps to just change his mind and pull over and end it all. I don't mean end it all in terms of O.J. Simpson. I mean end this pursuit. You're just going to wait them out, in other words.
Yes, like I say, our policy is generally to follow the pursuit and hoping that, in this case, that the suspect vehicle will run out of gas and stop. Fortunately, it's not a high-speed pursuit. They're going at a relatively moderate speed, which is better than a high-speed pursuit, obviously. And if it were turn into a high-speed pursuit, CHP officers at the time would choose to either abandon the pursuit or remain in the pursuit, depending on factors that would involve safety or potential hazardous situations.
Christine, I've just noticed an extraordinary thing, and that is that there are cars. Look at those people right there waving as this Bronco goes by. They're waving at O.J. Simpson. Everybody in Southern California who has a radio or a television is certainly aware of what's going on right now. And this is a Bronco. We believe O.J. Simpson is in it, along with his longtime friend Al Cowlings, a former teammate at SC. They are westbound on the 91, and people who, of course, have been pulled over by the CHP to give this vehicle clear passage on the freeway are standing there and waving.
We are watching KTTV's coverage, that's Fox 11 in Los Angeles, of this ongoing drama of Al Cowlings' car with O.J. Simpson in it, driving west on the 91 freeway. That would put them right around, if you know L.A., Bellflower Boulevard now. This is called the Artesia Freeway, and they're heading toward Compton.
It's been an extraordinary day.
Jim Hill, O.J.'s friend and sportscaster, has been on the radio. The last thing Jim said was, O.J., you were a man, you are a man, be a man, turn yourself in. Those are overpasses with crowds. Prove to the world you're still a man, turn yourself in.
The driver's head.
We have pretty much verified that O.J. is in the passenger seat in that car. We have received a report that his mother flew in from San Francisco to Los Angeles this morning, but we don't know where she is in Los Angeles.
It would seem almost funny that perhaps Simpson would be
This is definitely the Al Cowling vehicle, and O.J. is in the car. The California Highway Patrol's Pete Gustafson tells CNN that O.J. appears to be holding a gun to his head. Those
either Al Cowling's or
CHP are trailing that car. The car is not exceeding the speed limit.
To his head and wanted to be taken to his mother. If you have just joined us now, just to recap very briefly, as we watch this Ford Bronco continue westbound.
Earlier today, Robert Shapiro had arranged for O.J. to turn himself in.
It comes with every particular freeway topography of Los Angeles will be able to recognize this scene precisely. But this is not a chase. This is basically an accompaniment as people are pulled over to the side of the road in various places. You can see what will happen at this one particular location. All other traffic will be pulled over, waved over to the side of the road. The exits onto the freeway have been blocked by police, and at every stage along the way you can see traffic going in the other direction, slowing down, clearly understanding that something is happening, and probably, given all of the news coverage in Los Angeles today, understanding what is happening.
For the European Player of the Year, in
terms of him being a class guy, you know, instilling, you know, classy qualities in individuals everywhere he went. He always handled himself.
Do it. 11:45 was the next time he was supposed to do it. He didn't do it. And then the all points bulletin went out. O.J. Simpson has been missing now for about 7.5 hours as this relatively low-speed pursuit goes on. You heard the CHP officer.
Vince Evans, quarterback with the L.A. Raiders, the ageless Vince Evans, is now crying. He is on the radio pleading with his friend O.J. to please give himself up.
And certainly an indication of the
Vince Evans, the well-traveled quarterback in the National Football League, is now on the radio begging O.J. to give himself up as the car with O.J. in it passes some other passenger cars on California Interstate 91. That's the Artesia Freeway.
I hope it isn't so. I hope O.J. is not connected.
That will coming toward the 710 freeway is where the next big freeway they'd connect with. If they stay on 91, they're heading toward the ocean going that way on a direct line toward Manhattan Beach. They are south of L.A. and south of downtown. This car is heading due west.
To television broadcasting. It's hard to believe that something like this could happen where he is now running for his life here. He is a fugitive on the run. Authorities following him they believe he is in this vehicle right now on the West 91 near the 110 freeway. And it's interesting to note the time. This started apparently around 6:45, a little bit after the main part of rush hour. Authorities, though, are attempting to clear the freeway, although you can see a car right there going up right next to the Bronco. Not an easy job clearing the freeway. O.J. Simpson formally charged today with 2 counts of murder. He was supposed to surrender at 11 o'clock today. Basically, his attorney turned his back, and O.J. managed to get away.
Get away, apparently, with his good friend Al Cowlings. Now, we have a little bit of an update. This is off the Associated Press wire, or excuse me, the Reuters wire. According to someone who is monitoring police scanners, the man in the car says he would not give himself up. He's in the back of the vehicle. He has a gun to his head, and he says he will hurt himself. He is demanding to be taken to his mother. Now, that apparently is information off a police scanner, according to the Reuters newswire. We continue to watch from Sky 11 this 1993 Ford Bronco. We do know that this is the vehicle that belongs to Al Cowlings, former pro football player himself, a longtime friend of O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson, when he was preparing to surrender this morning to be picked up by LAPD and taken to Parker Center, wrote 3 notes, one to his mother, one to his family, and one that his attorney and a friend of his, a friend read this afternoon at the attorney's office in Century City. And to listen to that note, it sounded very much like a farewell goodbye from O.J. Simpson. Said that he basically thought he had done what was right all his life and wanted to be remembered for that. He asked the media to leave his kids alone and for all of us to remember him for what he had been.
He also proclaimed his innocence in that note. He said, Quote, "First, everyone understand I had nothing to do with Nicole's murder." Went on to say, "If we had a problem, it's because I loved her so much. Don't feel sorry for me. Thanks for making my life special. I hope I help yours. Peace and love, O.J." His attorney had said that he'd been extremely depressed. He was under the care of doctors. One friend is quoted as saying he had never seen O.J. Simpson so low.
The vehicle, we believe, with Al Cowlings and O.J. Simpson in it, and it looks like the emergency flashers are going on that Bronco. That's the first time we've had sort of this view of the vehicle. And it is going westbound again. It appears the way the sun is hitting the front of the vehicle, although it's a little bit difficult to tell because they have made a transition from one freeway to another. And there you see just a huge number of police cars, CHP, Orange County Sheriff, LAPD, presumably Los Angeles County Police Department as well as LA County Sheriff's cars, all a respectful distance behind, just waiting, hopefully, for this to play itself out peacefully without any further loss of life or any more damage and destruction. On the phone now we have psychiatrist Dr. Tom Linden. And Dr. Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Chris.
At this point, we have reports that O.J. Simpson is in this vehicle. One report says he has a gun pointed to his head, says he will not be...
No, the only thing you can count on, that's...
Today he'd been attended by both a doctor and a psychiatrist. And part of the concern of his lawyer, so he said earlier before all of this transpired, was that they were worried about taking him downtown, that they were fearful that at one point he might even have jumped out of the car and committed suicide, and that's why he was left downstairs very briefly in the companionship of his closest friend, Al Cowlings, who was a professional football player.
They only had a 15-minute window when they were alone, and that is when they managed to flee. There are something like 7 or 8 helicopters in the air, by the way, over this. It's quite a scene.
Well, we're very grateful to KTLA in Los Angeles, Channel 5, for enabling the rest of the country to participate in this strange act of witness.
We have a lot of these sorts of televised chases here in California. It's almost sort of a ritual that local news will break in with almost any kind of chase on the freeway. But, of course, this is certainly tops them all in terms of notoriety and celebrity.
Simpson was charged with 2 counts of murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances in California apply to multiple murders. There is no bail for murder with special circumstances, and one of our legal analysts said earlier today that he simply compounded the problem by becoming a fugitive. Though his lawyer was quick to point out that he hadn't escaped, as he had not been apprehended by the police. The concern today was that... Sorry, Judy.
It's putting a bit of a fine twist on it, I think. From the lawyer's point of view, it may still be viewed as fleeing when he already had agreed to surrender.
Well, it would seem to be a moot point at this point, anyway.
I wonder if they will just let him go and go and go until he runs out of gas, literally. They've done that before with people who are dangerous and armed or endangering themselves, and just let it play out and not try to push the issue because they don't want to force him into doing anything rash.
His lawyer said he was never concerned that he might run, but to restate his doctor's opinion at the time of the letter. They opened the letter after he disappeared. The letters to his mother and his children are still sealed and will be delivered to them. But while his lawyer said he was never concerned that he might run, they did believe and interpreted the letter to the general public, which many of you heard on the news tonight, was a suicide.
With the results of all those World Cup matches, plus
circumstances, and that he was trying to get to his mother's. Apparently, however, he keeps driving on and off of these different interstates, and it doesn't appear that they are destined for anywhere at this point. Again, O.J. Simpson in the back of that Bronco, apparently holding a gun to his head. They're traveling about 43 miles an hour, they're averaging, so they're not traveling all that fast. And there's about 18 police cruisers behind them, just following them, essentially escorting them down the interstate. So at this point, authorities do not know exactly where they are destined, or for that matter, if they have a destination. Let's go back to that video now and see if we can continue to follow. They're having some difficulty with their chopper there in Los Angeles. For that reason, we are having some trouble following them. Again, O.J. Simpson was supposed to surrender to police this morning at about 11 o'clock California time.
in one way or a part of the max in one way, and they behave.
This moment is brought to you by Jiffy Lube, causing neck tension and back pain, but the Contour pillow provides gentle.
I had a strong belief that it would last, and the reason I had that...
4-cylinder Camry LE.
See Lou, Dick, Bob, Ricky, and Max go camping, play golf, and do other guy stuff. Experience the great outdoors, indoors, this Father's Day on Nick at Night. Now, please stay tuned for another classic episode of The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
The one had just the right flavor. Pursuit. It's a tough job. There are also a lot of media helicopters that are also covering this. So Ron Botholt and all of these pilots who act as reporters for us also are flying helicopters. Very precarious situation for them. Rick Romero, as you continue on the ground,
yes, I'm still...
I am struck by the fact that so many people are pulled over in both directions as this pursuit continues.
I think it's what you said earlier on, that people are monitoring on the radio.
I'm Jack Edwards with you in the ESPN Sports Center newsroom as we will continue to follow this story. We want to tell those of you who are tuning in for baseball tonight, this evening, that the program will not be shown tonight as we continue to follow the pursuit of Los Angeles Police Department of O.J. Simpson, who is a fugitive from the law. We rejoin KABC's coverage of the car in which O.J. Simpson is believed to be traveling.
Seat and not up in the front, and that somebody else is driving the vehicle who was motioning to the man in the back seat when the police pursuit first began, letting them know that if they got too close, that perhaps he might do something.
Rick, can you give us a sense of as to where you are?
Well, we continue to fight traffic. We come into pockets of traffic that slows us down. We suddenly get backed up, and we're out of visual contact. And then we catch up for a short time, and then we're back up again, mainly because there's oncoming traffic at every on-ramp and off-ramp. There is nothing. In fact, one of the on-ramps, there was an accident by one of the media vehicles that had been pursuing. So you know that there's an awful lot of activity out here.
That's the first incident that we've heard about then, since we've been tracking this since about 6:40, almost an hour ago. So that's one minor accident that you know about. Have you heard of anything else?
No, that's the only thing that we've heard about, except that the pursuit continues now northbound on the 405 at approximately the same speeds of 45 miles per hour. And there are a lot of directions they can go off that 405 yet. Perhaps they are heading...
Aren't you some of the same people that wanted to lynch Forbes and me too about 5 years ago when we let him out on bail? I think so. Well, the investigation is continuing. Excuse me.
But Mr. Mayor, tell us what you have learned up until now.
Second, and the game is over, bud.
A lot of this stuff can't really tell us very much.
Florida, things real...
It's enough to put a poor boy on the road again.
I think that they would look bad, old. Well, what was their concern?
Remember, I'm...
Kid, what to name him, right? Because you give a kid a bad name, it could ruin their life, like Pigeonhead or something like that, right? So you don't do that, but I thought it might be really neat to name a kid a noise instead of a name, because nobody ever does it. So if I have a son, to name him something like...
Attention. Now, class, manners are an enjoyable way to create a favorable impression.
Apparently a lot of O.J. Simpson's former teammates are appealing to him to give himself up, to let this all end peacefully as possible as it can on this Friday evening. And bystanders, we heard this a little bit earlier from Rick Romero, bystanders are actually standing along the highway and they are waving as the truck drives by. I don't know if that's just to look and watch because they're curious or if that's even some sort of support that they're trying to lend.
Well, I think anybody, including the officers who are in pursuit, would hope that O.J. would put that gun down. But from all the information we've been able to garner today from his attorney and also from one of his close friends who read that letter that O.J. wanted made public today, O.J. Simpson is a man who is suicidal. He is a man who is terribly distraught. He has been distraught. He has been under medical attention. He has had psychiatric attention. And the belief was that O.J. Simpson was going to turn himself in as a deal had been cut with the Los Angeles Police Department and with his attorney, Robert Shapiro. O.J. Simpson decided not to uphold his end of the bargain. He fled from a home We are now beginning to believe that that home was somewhere in the San Fernando Valley, possibly the Encino area. No confirmation on that yet, but O.J. Simpson fled without Cowlings. The gun is also a curiosity because I'm reminded that when I was on the air earlier this afternoon and I was listening to Robert Shapiro's news conference.
Su falta y que estaba dispuesto a asistir a los servicios de un asesor, a un consejero conyugal junto con su esposa. La corte, después de que él se declaró culpable ni inocente del cargo, la policía le puso una condena de trabajos comunitarios, la cual fue de 80, fue reducida a 32 horas. Y que realmente se llevó a cabo por teléfono. Así es que algunas personas han señalado aquí en Los Ángeles de que de cierta manera ese carácter y ese acto, y aquí lo está deteniendo, el video está mostrando que están parando.
Very recently it had been a very on again, off again situation since.
Whether O.J. Simpson is having his friend drive him to his mother's house has not been confirmed, but is one of the possibilities that has been raised.
It's 7:30 p.m. Out there in Los Angeles, and so it's just past the rush hour time, and yet you can see that the freeways are still filled.
We just lost our picture there of what's happened. And we know how confusing this live coverage is. That the KCBS helicopter was the first to find the Ford Bronco. It flew for a long time, gave us...
There's the Ford Bronco. O.J. reported in the back. There apparently appears to be something in the front as well. There's something appears sticking out of the right-hand side of that car. And again, they're losing the picture a little, is KTLA. Other reports we're getting is that O.J. appears to be a little incoherent, and they've picked him up a little on the phone, and the voice sounds slurred. There you see LAX. In fact, you see a plane landing at LAX. And I don't know what that is. That must be, that's part of the chopper.
En la parte de atrás se encuentra el Estadio del Soldado, donde esta mañana se realizó la ceremonia de apertura del 15º Mundial de Fútbol y por supuesto
in Pakistan to pursue a new into the 90s. If we look matrimonio, ha habido un silencio total desde que la pareja se conoció. Nunca
We can hear you. Anybody can jump in because you people are at the scene there.
Okay, it's
you know there is,
as you can imagine.
If you heard that
we
last
can still
report,
see this pursuit is continuing. He's by himself now, continuing northbound on the 405 freeway. Now I think he's just passing Florence Boulevard. He's going under the bridge there. I'm going to turn around so we can get a decent shot here, and you can see again.
Rick Romero, did you have some new information for us? Were you trying to tell us something?
Well, you're right that he is still on the 405. It got under the 105, but he had picked up speed. There was also some irritation by the police officers because some of the vehicles that are traveling along that freeway, some of the civilian vehicles, are trying to slow down and pull alongside the Bronco to take a look inside. And they're worried about that, concerned that they are maybe in danger as well.
For those of us who have followed his fabulous football career, this may indeed be O.J. Simpson's longest run of his life.
Well, we certainly hope not.
It's a situation right now that we're aware that there are people who are watching this broadcast and they are questioning why we are staying with this, that we are on the air perhaps too long with this. But I think the fact of the matter is O.J. Simpson is a renowned figure, a worldwide figure. He's a very well-known individual. The circumstances surrounding this double homicide that began to unfold on Monday morning has captured nearly everybody's attention, particularly here in Southern California. It has been the talk of the town, and we would be remiss if we did not stay with what appears to be the culmination of a very long day in the life of O.J. Simpson.
And speaking to the point that Rick Romero just mentioned a few minutes ago, motorists who are on that freeway should absolutely not be pulling alongside that Ford Bronco. The LAPD saying earlier today that O.J. Simpson is considered to be armed and dangerous. We know that he's despondent. We know that he fled the scene earlier today and did not show up to surrender to LAPD at Parker Center, as was the plan that had been cut earlier in the day. I think that's a tighter shot than we've seen for a while there, Harold.
Yes, this is.
Yes, I can. Go ahead, Jim.
This is a shot that is bringing us in closer, and while it is closer, we are still not able to discern if
yes, go ahead, Jim.
Another angle for us there.
If O.J. Simpson is in the back. It would appear that they have their flashing lights on, the distress lights, lights you use when you pull over and you want to alert your fellow motorists that you're having trouble.
So I've got a couple
certainly having that today.
Pushing along this freeway without much problem at all. It is remarkable to see the cars in the other lanes now pulled over as well. Simply watching people saying, yes, I saw that pursuit today. I did see O.J. Simpson and another man being pursued by law enforcement officers.
And an officer on a motorcycle, right, Harold? Have we seen this before?
Unsure if that's an officer. Very well could be, but unsure at this time. I would be quite surprised if it was, because it seems to me that the officers who are in the cars are the ones that are in charge of this pursuit. But we'll keep an eye on them, Laura. They may be monitoring that. That very well could have been an officer monitoring the situation. Where's the gun? That's the thing that these people have to be concerned with right now. On the one side, we have people who are very concerned of the fact that O.J. Simpson has a gun to his head and may commit suicide. But there is the other factor, and that is the well-being of the police officers who are in pursuit. That gun is a threat to their life as well. O.J. Simpson is wanted for a double murder. They're aware of that. They have it in mind. They have to keep that in the forefront of their thinking as they make this pursuit today. That gun is a major player in the developments that are unfolding live on this Friday night.
Okay, Jim, they've got about an hour and a half. I can break off right here at Santa Monica and go from there. Tell me when you're ready for me to break off.
All right, I'll tell you what's happening. Captain Ron is talking to our people here at Channel 7. I think Captain Ron is about to break off and go for fuel. We also have another helicopter up, the one that is bringing us this tight shot.
To leave right now?
So if we could cut Captain Ron's audio for the time being and you folks work that out administratively, we will continue our coverage of this live pursuit of O.J. Simpson. We have picked it up with a helicopter. The mere mention of fuel, of course, brings to mind that these officers in pursuit, and we have seen some of them peel off and be joined by new cars. Fuel is also a consideration. How much gas did that Ford Bronco have when they took off this afternoon? We don't know. According to our Rick Romero, they picked him up down around the Irvine area. Have no idea off the top of my head.
Internacional de la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Para hablar un poco sobre la fama de O.J. Simpson como jugador de fútbol americano, se encuentra con nosotros en la línea telefónica Fuad Rebeis, expatriador de los Delfines de Miami, ahora juega con los Vikingos de Minnesota. Fuad, gracias por estar con nosotros esta noche.
Desafortunadamente bajo esto.
If Murray writes a lousy headline, I go down the toilet?
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
Yeah. Mary, there's just one little problem. I've been watching your show, and what that so-called expert is doing isn't helping one bit. In fact, quite the opposite.
You know, I agree with the mayor. I think these changes are hurting the show. Look, maybe you should go in and talk to Lou.
Oh, look, I don't like some of these.
But it may have very large tanks, which may be as much as 40, 50 gallons. If so, it could probably go a couple hundred miles.
Well, the key is, that's right, and also the speed plays a factor in that. The slower the speed, the more mileage you get out of a gallon of gas. As you can see right now, another news copter is moving into our view. Look at this.
Wow.
As people are lining up on the bridges over the 405. They've been doing this as we've been following this pursuit now. We are into about our 65th minute here on Channel 7 as we began this pursuit early on, as O.J. Simpson and another man have pushed up from the Irvine area Early on, there was speculation that he indeed might return to Irvine because that's where his ex-wife was buried yesterday. His 2 children had been reported to be at Monarch Bay at the home of his ex-wife's parents. Whether O.J. Simpson was able to make contact with them, if he tried to, we don't know at this time. But we are surmising that that was why he was in that area, may have even made a visit to Nicole's gravesite. We're unsure of that. We're dealing with a man who is distraught, who is distressed, who is depressed, who has been described as suicidal by his attorney several times earlier today. And Barbara Walters is not reporting live on this television station, and we inadvertently have put up, and this is not the Channel 5 Live special report either. What we are having here is a cross-signal problem. There is so much coverage of this pursuit that the microwave signals are beginning to cross one another, and if you will, it's like we are changing channels as we continue our live coverage. We are going through other signals. But Channel 7 is in the forefront of the coverage. Our helicopter is now pulling up parallel, and as we try to push in,
algo que no debe hacer así porque sus papás y sus mamás deben ser el héroe y deben ser la persona que deben imitar, pero sin embargo desafortunadamente hay mucha juventud que cree que los jugadores de fútbol profesionales son ídolos o los jugadores de básquetbol profesional son ídolos, en fin. Me tiene muy triste.
Down, waving left and right. Now, let's think of what these people are doing. One would assume that they are saying, OJ, come on, man, pull over, give it up. I just have to believe that there is no cheering for O.J. Simpson. This is not a heroic run. Those runs that we witnessed at the Coliseum over the years, those runs that we saw in Buffalo and with the 49ers, this is a tragedy that's unfolding right now. And one assumes that these people are feeling the same sense of helplessness that we are right now, that we want O.J. Simpson to put that gun down, to pull over, to give himself up.
Well, as we get into the L.A. basin here, we've got Jeff Michaels standing by live at La Tijera in the 405. And Jeff, what can you see there? It almost looks like a parade when we saw some of those earlier shots.
Well, I'll tell you, Laura, at this point it is a traffic jam on the 405, and we didn't think that the CHP would have any officers left to manage this traffic jam because so many are up in front, but we have seen 2 now pull people over who are trying to get up, to get closer to O.J. Simpson, who are trying to weave through this traffic, frankly, as we are. We are driving on the 405 now. We are headed in the same direction as O.J. Simpson as we are all watching this live from Newscopter 7, and I would say our speed at this point is probably at about 35 miles an hour. Traffic is very thick. As I might add, traffic southbound on the 405 extremely slow as well, as if people have just all been tuning to their radios to listen to this and to see if they can catch a glimpse of O.J. Simpson.
We're watching this, Jeff, and are struck by the fact that he is now really getting into a traffic pattern here. Not everybody is listening to the radio. Not everybody is pulling over, and this is one of the situations that law enforcement has to take care of very carefully here, because you've got a wanted fugitive with a gun.
You can say that again.
You know, yesterday I opened a charge account, and for the first time when the girl asked me where I worked, I didn't mumble.
I know what you mean, man.
In that northbound side of the freeway. Southbound, people apparently are simply pulling over, aware of the fact that this pursuit is going to pass them by. People have actually gotten out of their cars, as you can see right here. This is one of those scenes that would only happen, honestly, here in Southern California on a Friday night. A police pursuit, people looking, knowing that they have watched this person for years, have a sense of knowing him, watching him grow up as a college student, and then evolving into a man, a person who garnered a lot of respect and awards for work that he did in the community. But tonight, O.J. Simpson is a fugitive, and the hope, once again, is that O.J. will be convinced, perhaps, by...
Oh, Mr. Grant, I was thinking of having a party for Bob Larson at my place. You know, a sort of combined congratulations and welcome party. Sort of make him feel like one of the team. What do you think?
Well, in the war, we found that a unit who had been through battle felt closer. There's something about shared suffering that brings men together. Yeah. I think one of your parties might do it, Mary.
It's a very dangerous situation.
Laura?
Coming up to the Santa Monica Freeway right now. Also, let me clarify, this picture is courtesy of our colleagues at KTLA. We appreciate their allowing us to use their picture. He is now taking off. He's coming off of the freeway, and he is coming off on one of the off-ramps here, and the police pursuit is now coming in a little tighter behind him, and
Harold, can I break in here for just a minute?
Please do.
Where are we, Jeff?
At this point, well, we are not far behind him. We are approaching the area as he is just
okay, watch out. Hold up, Jeff.
Let's take a...
Jeff, hold on a second. Hold on right here. This is what police were hoping wouldn't happen. He has now put himself into a position where he is getting into a traffic zone, and the public is out there cheering, whooping, and hollering. But now he was able to get through that area. For a moment there, looked rather precarious, as though he was going to be forced to stop because of the traffic. But the driver of that vehicle made a left-hand move that freed him from that potential roadblock, and he is now hot-footing it once again.
Jeff, do we know what surface street he is on?
No, in fact, I'm trying to find that out right now, Laura. I've got to tell you, I have spent an awful lot of time in this part of town today, just this afternoon, talking to people. I don't think there is anyone in West LA, in Westwood, in Brentwood, in this area, who is not thinking of O.J. Simpson right now, and certainly he is going through probably one of the most congested parts of town at this hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would recommend the cheese puffs. People keep tasting them and then putting them in the ashtray.
We're all watching it along with you.
Harold,
it could be Sunset Boulevard.
Yes.
It could be Wilshire Boulevard. There is a little bit of breakup of that picture. What this leads us to believe at this time is that
expression followed by an enormous phalanx of cops, though something is alerting people to turn over to the side.
That's Sunset Boulevard. They're passing the church on Salt.
Really lets you explore that. Really lets you.
St. Martin of Tours, that's where the
sheriffs and highway patrol officers following him, as well as
way he felt that way.
This is on stage.
Fabulous,
which are shared.
Well, done a heck of a job.
Right, absolutely.
At Sears, bringing America's best to you.
Condominium. We know that a call reportedly came in.
Casi 30 minutos de dar vueltas alrededor de la zona suroeste de Los Ángeles, ha decidido finalmente internarse en el oeste.
It sounded like O.J. Simpson had called him on the phone and said he was on his way over. And there was a great deal of fear, and a huge media event evolved there at that particular location on South Bundy. That was earlier today, but he never showed up.
Our reporter Mark Coogan is on the line. Cougs, what have you got for us? Mark Coogan? I was told we had Mark Coogan on the line, and apparently we have lost Mark. Our ground units are also trying to do what law enforcement is doing, and that is leapfrog ahead. But this has changed the entire scenario, getting off the freeway, and it's, I'm telling you, I'm looking at this along with you. I think that's Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, it looks like Sunset.
And,
the trees and the way, the configuration.
Right. And so moving up into the Brentwood area, where O.J. has had a home for quite some time, and also the home of his late wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. Again, police are in pursuit. They have not closed in. This has been going on since about an hour and 15 minutes. They have kept
a party. Oh, reminds me, Lou. If you want that guy to stay, Mary is the bait we're looking for. That's the most disgusting idea I ever heard.
And here is O.J. Simpson. Yes, indeed, it would appear that he is, in fact, trying to reach his neighborhood, if you will.
And you see people chasing after the Bronco, which is the worst thing they could do. Mark Coogan, are you able to hear us now?
Look, there's one of the satellite trucks, so I think this, in fact, is pulling up. He's pulling right up to his home.
Sure looks like it, Harold.
Here he is now. Here's the car pulling into the driveway. Mark Coogan, we're watching O.J. Simpson pull into his driveway. He has driven all the way, and here's somebody coming up beside him. And look, there's a bit of a scuffle here.
Oh.
And Al Callings, who is at the wheel, apparently is telling whoever came up there to get out of the way, to get back, and to stay out of the way. O.J. Simpson is in the back of this vehicle. It has tinted windows. We're unable to see a clear picture of him, but...
Visando la policía durante 3 días, se encuentra O.J. Simpson. Sería difícil dudarlo. Están en...
Suicide. Mr. Cowling, as he has done since this drive began an hour and 15 minutes ago, has been waving everybody off, telling them to stay back. Al Cowlings is a friend. You just know that he is doing the best job he can to emotionally calm down O.J. Simpson right now, telling the juice to put the gun down. Police, as you saw, are on the premises. They've been there all day. They, too, are staying back right now, and all we can do is watch a
nice, friendly little station. But I've done all I can here, and I just feel I'm ready to move on to bigger things, you know? Well, best of luck to you all.
So, guess that's it.
He decided he was going to go home. The reports all day have been that O.J. has, in fact, been suicidal. He wrote a letter that thanked many of his friends, his former teammates, his golfing buddies, his broadcasting friends, and people he's known over the years. And on any other occasion, we would have labeled it a suicide note, but the friend who read it told us that it was a letter that he wanted read to the public. The word suicide wasn't mentioned, only when his attorney, Robert Shapiro, said that he believed O.J. was suicidal, and that O.J. had been under the care of psychiatrists and physicians over the last couple of days, very despondent.
Linda Brickstone apparently is at Parker Center. And Linda, are you able to provide us with any more information now as we look at this live shot of the Ford Bronco pulled in right there into O.J.'s estate?
Yes, Laura. When he was still on the freeway, LAPD apparently knew where he was headed. About 20 cars rolled out of here, sirens blaring. The Commander Gascon, we are told, was with them. And they apparently had a sense of where he was going. They wouldn't tell me where he was going, of course we now see, and they are headed in that direction. So it sounds like they were in communication with him on a cell phone or something, because they did know where he was going and that they rolled out of here to that location.
The police are confronted with a very tricky situation here. You have O.J. Simpson, who has a gun in his hand. He's a wanted fugitive, but you also have another civilian behind the wheel right now, Al Cowlings, and his safety and well-being must also be taken into consideration. There are the law enforcement officers, and from what I can see along with you, there
are one
that
just went into the car.
Sure, and there are others who are off to our left as well.
Dealing with this case in part because O.J. Simpson is such a national figure, in part because the department has not done as well as it had hoped to in other cases.
It's interesting. I talked to a deputy city attorney who tried the first case in 1989, and he said that based on his celebrity, the police really didn't have to rush their investigation. And in his words, he said, after all, where could he go? How could he ever get away? And I'm sure he's thinking twice about those words today. He got away at least for a day. But there was a feeling that they could take their time because O.J. Simpson was not at risk of fleeing. At least I think that was their thought.
Judy, can you hear me?
Yes.
There had been some speculation that also there was extra caution because of cases like the Menendez case where it was felt that perhaps action was not taken quick enough, or you had 2 hung juries, and they wanted to be very careful that they had all of the evidence that was possible to get before making the arrest. Is that something that you have heard out there?
I've heard it out there. I don't think you would, Gil Garcetti could probably respond to that, but I don't think you would have the attorney, the AG's office saying so. However, they don't need a mistake on something this high profile.
They've pursued him 50 miles on the Los Angeles freeways, and as you know, if you've been with us for a while, he